Hello Superset Maniacs and welcome back to my channel. This is what a 2003 Ronnie Coleman vs Chris Bumstead matchup would look like. A comparison that doesn't make too much sense, but for those of you who keep up with my latest uploads, you know we did this on this channel. Boom! Enter Mass Monster CBum. Mass Monster CBum is my photoshopped version of Chris Bumstead if he only did open throughout his entire career and never downsized to meet the classic division weight cap. So yes, today's matchup is between 2003 Ronnie Coleman, the freakiest version of any bodybuilder ever, and this reimagined look of Chris Bumstead that we created on this channel. Of course, this video is made purely for entertainment. Front double biceps. If these two physiques faced off on a bodybuilding stage nowadays, things might be judged differently than in Ronnie's era. Today, a bloated midsection isn't acceptable on a bodybuilding stage, and Ronnie's midsection in 2003 would be an issue. Now, of course, we've seen worse over the years. At least Ronnie's abs are still defined, and he has a genetically small waist, but years of heavy powerlifting combined with limited effort to hold his midsection tight make this version of Ronnie, in my opinion, unacceptable by today's standards. For those of you pointing this out in the comments, I'll say it now, someone with Ronnie's midsection would lose by today's standards. However, if we give Ronnie a pass for that, he'd still win this pose against Mass Monster CBum. First and foremost, in the arms, Chris Bumstead has weak arms, let's face it, one of his few weaknesses, but still a weakness. A Mass Monster version of him would only have bigger arms, not better arms. He can't change the shape, insertions, or separation with any kind of training. Ultimately, it's about genetics. I also prefer Ronnie's legs here, but overall Mass Monster CBum has better flow and taper with superior lats. However, Ronnie wins this pose as a whole. The front lat spread is next, and what Ronnie brought in 2003 with this pose is arguably the most muscular front lat spread of all time, tied with 2002 Night of Champions Marcus Rule. There's no denying Ronnie has his arguments to win this pose, but Mass Monster CBum here exemplifies what this pose is really about. He resembles a more muscular Dorian Yates, which should settle the discussion. CBum has a wider structure than Ronnie. Ronnie was wider than say Phil Heath, but not as wide as Dorian Yates or Jay Cutler. Mass Monster CBum also has superior lats, a better midsection, and an overall execution that even improves his lower body's appearance. While Ronnie's quads were crazy this year, his leg stance in this pose isn't ideal. All in all, Mass Monster CBum takes the front lat spread, making it 1-to-1. Side chest is next, and this should be good. Ronnie looks rounder and fuller overall. He has a smaller frame and despite going against a photoshopped opponent is still more muscular. However, Chris Bumstead's side chest pose is a work of art, and with the improved mass of Mass Monster CBum, I don't think there's much debate about him winning this pose. First, he wins the side leg, and while people are divided on the importance of the side leg, every pose is judged by the whole physique, so CBum's win weighs heavily. Upper body wise, even though Ronnie's chest is round and full, Mass Monster CBum has a golden era chest combined with today's conditioning, a lethal combination. CBum also has fuller shoulders and the arms seem about equal here. The side chest pose goes to Mass Monster CBum, making the score 2-to-1 in his favor. Back double biceps is next, and as big and freaky as I made Mass Monster CBum look, Ronnie Coleman is an alien. Let me clarify, using Photoshop you could make anyone look better than Ronnie, but that wasn't my goal. I aimed to increase CBum's mass in proportion to his actual physique to give a realistic look of how he could appear as an open competitor. My goal wasn't to make him unrealistically invincible. Based on his back genetics and my estimate of what he'd look like with 50 more pounds of muscle, he'd still not surpass the monstrous 2003 Ronnie Coleman in the back double biceps. That massive back, those incredible arms, and the freaky lower body, if we didn't know better you'd think Ronnie was the photoshopped one. So Ronnie takes this pose, making it 2-to-2. If you want to see Mass Monster CBum go up against other athletes, make sure to hit 700 likes on this video. Maybe you'd like to see 1993 3 weeks out Dorian Yates or wide clavicle Phil Heath, so hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Around 74% of you watching aren't subscribed and my hard work deserves your appreciation. Next up is the back lat spread. Since Mass Monster CBum is a realistic projection of Chris Bumstead in the open division, he wouldn't have a back that rivals Ronnie Coleman's. While Mass Monster CBum's back shots look incredible here, he'd probably beat anyone on today's open stage. However, Ronnie is simply the best of all time in back poses. He's in a different league. With that unreal back, glutes, hamstrings and everything else, the score is now 3-2 for the king. Side triceps is next, and as many of you know, this is arguably Ronnie Coleman's weakest pose, especially in 2003. If Ronnie was lacking in any muscle, it was the lateral tricep head. Moreover, this pose emphasizes the midsection where 2003 Ronnie didn't excel. He also loses in the side leg comparison here. Mass Monster CBum, on the other hand, nails this pose. The score is now tied at 3. Abs and thighs. First things first, Ronnie doesn't look as bad as expected here. This is definitely a better pose for him than the side triceps. What he wins over Mass Monster CBum here is the thigh aspect of the pose, and I would even say his abs are more defined. But sure, when it comes to overall ab development, CBum outshines Ronnie. CBum also has a way better taper and overall flow in this pose. I don't think that on any bodybuilding stage during any era, Ronnie Coleman would beat a physique like Mass Monster CBum in the abs and thighs pose. So overall, Mass Monster CBum takes the abs and thighs pose, making the score 4-3 in his favor before the last pose. Most muscular, this pose will be as controversial as the front double biceps because the midsection issue comes into play again, and even more so than in the front double, where Ronnie's arms were undeniable. From this angle, his arms are not as strong. If these physiques were judged on a stage today, Ronnie would likely be penalized for his midsection, but if we take this pose literally and judge who looks most muscular here, then the title undoubtedly goes to Big King Ronnie Coleman. Let's dissect this pose a bit more. Ronnie wins the lower body here, in my opinion, and I wouldn't argue much about that. Then in the upper body, Ronnie could arguably win the chest. It looks more detailed. He actually looks more detailed overall, with that crazy genetic paper-thin skin that we didn't mention earlier in the video. Where Ronnie falls short is the delts. He doesn't exactly lose, but he doesn't win either. His arms match up pretty well with CBum's, but he loses big time on the midsection and overall execution. If we give Ronnie a second chance with the variation hiding the midsection, I think there are enough arguments for him to actually win the most muscular pose. Again, on today's stage, he would most likely lose, but for this comparison, I'd give Ronnie Coleman the win on the most muscular, as it's not an especially strong pose for Mass Monster CBum either. He didn't shut the door on Ronnie in this one. Now, I know the score is 4-4, but I won't leave you with that. I'm going to give you a winner in this comparison, like I said. If this was in today's era, Mass Monster CBum would likely win on stage, but if this were back in Ronnie's era, things would be different, I believe. Because if we ignore the waist issue, I still think Ronnie is more impressive overall, and that's what happened back then. They didn't know what to make of his gut issue since he was so freaking impressive everywhere else. In my estimation, Mass Monster CBum almost looks like a more aesthetic version of Gunther Schlierkamp, who indeed beat Ronnie at his worst but wouldn't stand a chance against Ronnie at his best. So if we don't penalize Ronnie for the midsection, I think he would defeat Mass Monster CBum on stage. What do you guys think about this comparison? Do you agree with my analysis? Make sure to like this video for the algorithm, subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.